Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's Friday the 13th, November 13th, 2020. We're very glad you are with us today. The music you heard before was from Dr. K Boogie Woogie off of Facebook. You can follow him. It's one of my favorite little things. He does a lot of little concerts every once in a while. I really enjoy hearing, I don't know, I just enjoy that kind of piano music, by the way. All right, so our agenda today, we'll start out with success stories. I know of at least 2 landings. I don't know if we've got anybody else on the line with us today who's landed. We'll then have everybody put their 30-second introductions into the chat box. That way I can get that information out to everybody this afternoon. We'll then get to our committee reports, job fairs, career fairs, pit crew, interview success workshop, career tip of the week, and then we'll have the main event speaker. And then the main event speaker. Here we go. Just at the very bottom of your screen, for those people who have not put in your full name, we ask that you sort of highlight, if you hover over with your mouse over the microphone camera, you should be able to go and rename yourself. I see Fran only has a first name, and I'm not sure. Let me look here. Do we have some more people with first names only? That's the only one right now. But Fran, if you would go edit your name so we've got your full first and last name, that'll make things a lot easier for me. You're counting this event as something for Texas Workforce. I need to be able to capture everybody who is currently here to update the roster, and that's what I'll use from for this afternoon. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the morning, please just use the chat box. And for those people on Facebook, we've got 10 different people on Facebook right now. Appreciate you joining us today. Please just enter any questions you have into the comment box. I am monitoring that feed, and I'll be sure to get those questions answered. Please note this event is currently recording, and we're live on Facebook. The recording will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you happen to post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comments, name, and picture to appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group since 2007. In 2008, I created CareerDFW. In 2012, I launched CareerUSA.org, and I'll tell you more about both of those in a little bit. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. If you'd like to get a copy, if you want to drive by my house, if you throw 10 bucks out the window, I'll throw a book in your window. I'll try anyway. If you want to get it on Amazon, it's on Amazon for $15 on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news. Do we have anybody online who has landed? I know of 2 people, but I don't think they're going to be with us today. If you've landed, please unmute your mic and let us know. Going once, going twice. All right, the 2 people I know about is, first one is Bruce Melvin. He's accepted a job with K-Force as an IT project manager on assignment to Humana Healthcare. He starts this coming Monday. He'd like to thank me, Mark, Walt, and everybody else for what they do. He said, although my journey was slow and methodical, the things I learned from all of you were invaluable during my search. I want to thank everybody for what you do week in and week out. This has been one heck of a crazy year. And yes, it has been. And the second landing I know about is Phil Young. He just got an offer to start as a temp to perm as a senior account position at the Carrollton Regional Medical Center. His start date is tomorrow, which was on Monday, 11/9, this past Monday. And he hopes to convert to perm in January 2021 if I do well. Needless to say, he is very excited. So 2 more landings. I believe these 2 gentlemen take us to number 80. So congratulate to both of them on their landing. Anybody else before I move on? Any other landings? All right, we'll move on then. Okay, what we want everybody to do now is, if you will, open up your chat box, and we want you in your chat box to put down your name and then a comma, your phone number, comma, email address, comma, the position you're looking for, comma, a couple target companies, comma, and then hit the return key. That way I'll get all your information and I will publish all that this afternoon in an email that I'll put out to everybody this afternoon. Also, please be aware that I am not, because of, I'm not going to be able to capture who's in the participant box, so that if you do not put your name in the chat box, I am not going to be able to count you on the roster today. So please put your information into the chat box. Okay, 60 seconds on the clock, and here we go. And for everybody on Facebook, I will go and delete your personal information right after this meeting's over. I will copy it so I can put it in the email, and then I will delete it. So don't worry about it. It will not be hanging out on Facebook forever and ever. It will only be there until this meeting is over. Let's see here. Oops, too far. Let's go back. All right, it's time for our training, job fairs, workshops coming up. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. The information I'm about to convey to you comes from the calendar tab of CareerDFW.org. If you're not familiar with the calendar, I urge you to get familiar with it. It aggregates all the activities that you need to know about relative to your job search. I focus on career and job fairs and special workshops or events. I go fairly quickly, so if you hear something that appeals to you, I urge you to go to the calendar, click on that item. There's usually a link that will give you more information and or allow you to register, or a Zoom link, which will allow you to participate. This week's career and job fairs. The Dallas Career Fair by National Career Fairs is scheduled for the Crown Plaza Dallas Market Center, 7050 North Stemmons Freeway in Dallas on Wednesday, November 18th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there is a link on the calendar for that one. The Dallas Veterans Job Fair by Recruit Military is scheduled for AT&T Stadium 1, AT&T Way in Arlington on Thursday, November 19th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I assume these are going to be on given the current COVID status, but
both of them are now virtual. So
that's a virtual. Okay.
Right, they're now both virtual. So just click on the link, and it'll take you to the page to register.
Good. They had an address in there, so my usual assumption is it's a physical location with a physical meeting, but thanks for sharing that with us. This week's special workshops or events. Online, find out about CareerDFW and CareerUSA.org and how to use them. That will be today at Christ United Methodist Church at 3101 Coit Road, and that's Friday, November 13th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. I assume that's what you're going to cover today in our guest presentation. Online only at this time, the Who You Know Career Transition Summit, Monday, November 16th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is a Zoom meeting that's hosted by Foster Williams. And if you don't know Foster Williams, you need to get to know Foster Williams. Online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m., November 17th from 1 to 2:30. This is an ongoing rotating seminar between Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, and Kurt Vondermatter. This week's session is actually being given by Jack Bick. It's Clarity When You Need It Most. And again, that's Wednesday, November 18th from 1 to 2:30. Online again, Resumes Thursdays online with Carol Brickell, Certified Professional Career Coach. That's November 19th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link for that meeting. Successful interviewings with speaker Walt Glass, interview success coach, part of St. Andrew's Career Care, will be held Thursday, November 19th from 2 to 4 p.m. That is a Zoom meeting, and I see Walt's here today, so he'll probably talk a little bit about that as well. Online, how-tos for job success and career advancement, Thursday, November 19th from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And there is a link for that one to find out how to register. And finally, employability with a background, Thursday, November 19th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's listed as a physical location if that one's still on the calendar. Sometimes I see those and they disappear before I can present, but supposedly at the Cornerstone Assistance Network at 3500 Noble Avenue in Fort Worth. Again, that's Thursday, November 19th from 5 to 7. That's it for this week.
Oh, and also, I guess there's one more event next Friday morning, the IoT.
Yeah, I didn't, yes.
Special interest breakfast, because we don't meet till after that's over. So if you're interested in, it is online. So, you can check that out next Friday morning from 7 to 9 if you're interested in IoT stuff. Right, Internet of Things. If you have it all and interest in that, that's really a good collection of technical and business folks that are associated with that developing market. Right. All right. Thank you very, very much. All right. For those people, if you're looking for a networking group or trying to find something that's going on, please check out the webinar teleseminar list. It's on there. That list, if you click on it, is light purple like this. I do know that the South Lake Focus Group is now meeting in person. If you're interested on Thursdays, they just started this past Thursday meeting in person, but they're also still doing things via Zoom, and all that information's on there. If you know somebody who just lost their job, I see another 700,000 people filed for unemployment for the first time this past week. Please let them know about the little list here we have where I just lost my job. What do I do now? I click here for help. And if you do that, it'll take you to a one-page article with several handouts and great things that will help somebody as far as what to do first, second, third in their job search to sort of get them going. Time for the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. And I encourage you to practice early and practice often. So the pit crew is now virtual and, have been since March. I'm looking forward to the day when we get back together face to face. South Lake's very brave, I think, but I'm glad to hear they're starting to do that. So the pit crew helps you. Well, it's a mock interview, and people spend a lot of time working on their resume and polishing up their LinkedIn profile and applying for jobs online. And then in general, they just don't spend enough time practicing their interview skills. And so that's what the pit crew offers. It's panel interviews. It's done on Zoom. You get a recording afterwards, so you can look at yourself and see how your lighting was and how you answered questions, if you paid attention to the camera and all that kind of stuff. Interviewing in the virtual world is very effective, I think, but it is different than face-to-face for sure. We give a very personalized and customized interview experience. So it's not a generic interview at all. You provide a resume and a job description. I have a group of volunteers and they've all been hiring managers. And so they look at the information you provide, and then we ask you specific questions tailored to your situation, your background, and the job you're going for. And that takes about 45 minutes. And then afterwards you get some feedback. We, give you a little assessment of things you did well and things you should consider that might be more effective for that particular opportunity. So since we're so specifically focused on a job description, you can practice multiple times, different job descriptions, different opportunities. You can even pick out your dream job description. You're not really engaged with it, but it looks really good to you, and send it in and we'll give you a chance to practice and get better, because there is an element of preparation and perhaps surprise. I mean, you never really know how an interview is going to go or what kind of questions are going to be asked. So the more you practice, the more you become comfortable with answering those questions on the fly and having a strategy for anything that may come up in the interview. So right at the moment, I am all booked up for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So Thursday or Friday is open. And so if you get your information into me today or Monday at the latest, I'd be scheduling you for Thursday or Friday of next week. And you send that to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. It's on the bottom of the card there. I also encourage you to link in with me, and my first degree connections will become your second degree connections. And mostly all my connections are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that will help you greatly to expand your network. What I learned a few months ago, that in LinkedIn, you can only see people that you're connected to by first, second, and third degree connections. And so my first degree connections become your second degree connections, and their first degree connections become your third degree connection. So building your network allows you to see more people on LinkedIn. And so I encourage you to do that. And it's pretty easy for me. Just search for Mark A. McDonald. Send me a brief note that said we met on the North Dallas Career Focus Group, and I'll add you to my network. You're gonna talk about the webinar, Jeff?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then final thing is the pit crew is run by volunteers. All the panelists are volunteers. Many of them are in job transition, and so they have been landing just like you guys have been landing. And so I'm always looking for extra people to volunteer when they can. And the only requirement is that you've been a hiring manager as part of your professional responsibility. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Get in contact with me. I have a great opportunity for you to help others while you're in job transition, and also help yourself. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much. And you will learn something. I know when I was conducting interviews on the pit crew, I would hear a wonderful answer and I'd go, oh man, the way they said that was just great. So yes, you will learn stuff even being as the interviewer. You will always learn something every week. Okay, Walt, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Walt Glass. So let me ask you a question. Are you truly prepared for an interview? Do you know what you need to do to get prepared for an interview? Do you know what you need to do for an effective greeting? Do you understand how you might want to open and how you want to close the interview? You understand how to answer those difficult questions? Do you know how to demonstrate your expertise and your value? Do you know how to handle overqualified? Do you know how to handle negative questions? All this and more is through the Interview Success Workshop. You need to be registered to attend. Look me up on LinkedIn on the About section. It gives you details on how to contact me. Send me an email, and I'll give you some availability dates. I only have one slot left for this year, and it's first come, first served. So how do you build rapport? How do you really build that connection and find out whether this is the right place for you, and they find out that this is the right place for you as well? So you get a couple of videos. You get your interview. It's on Zoom. You also get a handout that goes over all the differentiation things that I offer you inside of the workshop. So it's learning without squirming. It is definitely not a mock interview. It is a practice interview. It is an interview where we are learning to improve ourselves. So we just put our learning hat on and come and see how can we be more effective and do a really good job in our interviewing. Spending all day applying on a laptop is not the best way to job shop. Register for the interview workshop. Practicing can put you on the list at the top.
Mark, Walt, thank you very much. Is that number 100 or 101?
Let's see, 89.
Oh, 89. Okay. Oh, I thought you were close to 100 already. All right. Well, thank you very much, Walt. All right. It's time for the career tip of the week. Good morning, Roxanne.
Got on mute.
Here we go.
Good morning. Today's career tip of the week is Zoom etiquette by Peggy S. Budd, Speaking Skillfully. Can you remember before COVID-19 when we attended face-to-face meetings or professional events? Yes, there was a time when you could actually meet with a potential employer, shake hands, and have a conversation. You could join a friend for lunch, coffee, or a drink, have a conversation without wearing a mask or worrying about getting sick. The logistics of getting to a meeting was something we all considered. You probably used technology to determine how long it would take to get there, using your GPS for both directions and estimated travel time. You were able to be punctual. If you were like me, you allotted extra time for unforeseen traffic issues, finding a parking spot, or getting lost. I would try to get to a meeting a little early because it meant more time for networking. When attending a business meeting or interview, arriving early meant I could freshen up and collect my thoughts before the meeting. I'm baffled how many people arrive for a Zoom meeting at the precise time it was scheduled, and often up to 10 minutes late. They don't seem to be aware of proper Zoom etiquette. If they are going to be late or need to leave early, they should notify the host ahead of time. Otherwise, they should arrive to a meeting a few minutes ahead of schedule. Technology can and will fail. Never assume it's going to work like it did yesterday or earlier in the day. The lighting isn't right, different time of day. The colors I'm wearing wash me out. My volume is too low, too loud, or too soft. Preparing is part of good Zoom etiquette. Check for technical issues before every meeting. Software updates, microphone problems, camera issues. Participating in a Zoom call takes planning. Arriving early is best practice. It gives you the opportunity to do a final check on how you look on video before clicking join a meeting. Zoom calls can be tiring. Allowing for breaks between calls is essential and is part of the preparation. I suggest about a 20-minute break between calls. Use the time to walk around, freshen up, drink some water. Hydration helps your appearance. Log in about 10 minutes before the call. Check out how you look and sound before joining the meeting. I realize you might have to spend a few minutes in the waiting room. Sometimes the host will admit you when you arrive early, giving you a chance to chat with the host or other early arriving participants. Isn't that what you did when you attended a face-to-face meeting in the past? Being aware of good Zoom etiquette is important. It's new to our lives. It takes practice. You only get one chance to make a great first impression, which begins with how you look and sound. Confidence and success are the result of planning, preparing, and practice. What others see as you enter the meeting is your professional virtual image. Make sure it's a winning image. That's the career tip of the week. Happy Friday the 13th, and good luck, everyone.
Roxanne, thank you very much for filling in today at last minute.
Okay.
And you know, if you're not going to have to leave early, have to leave late, you don't need to notify me. I'm okay with that part. But as I put in my emails, and I apologize for not putting out an email yesterday to everybody about this morning's meeting. I just totally slipped my mind yesterday afternoon. You know, but I always, you know, arriving on time is late. You know, 5 minutes early is on time. So, you know, I go by the 5-minute rule. So thank you very much. And, you know, as you saw yesterday, and Jason brings this, reminds me, if you were joining us yesterday for LinkedIn, for our resume session with Tony Bashira, he had major technical problems, but he could not hear us. And so after the phone call was over, I actually spent about a half hour with him, and we got him all fixed up. So next time he does a Zoom call, everything will be correct. So, you know, just you got to practice beforehand. You got to be ready to go. All right. In case you haven't seen this, if you don't get the newspaper, the Dallas Morning News is going to be publishing this Sunday the top 100 places to work. I'm sure everybody out there would like to work at one of the top places to work. And if you would, the list will be published. They've already announced the winners. They did that yesterday. You can check it out. You can check out the list now. It's at dallasnews.com/top100. So if you get the Sunday newspaper, or you may want to go buy a Dallas Morning News newspaper this Sunday, spend the $3.50, $4, whatever it is, because in there, there'll be a magazine with all the listings. So that'll be a really good thing to have if you don't want to go to the website. And also, just FYI, the Dallas Business Journal today will be publishing the 100 best places to work in North Texas for 2020. So both those lists are coming out today. If you don't get the Dallas Business Journal, you may want to check with your public library. You can go online. I'm not sure if you'll be able to get in subscription wise and get it, but both of those, if you don't have a subscription, but both those lists are being published this weekend. So just two things you may want to check out, because I'm sure everybody right now would love to get a job at one of the best places to work in the DFW area. All right, coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to talk about Career DFW. It's our 12th birthday. I only do this presentation of this group once a year. So I'll tell you a little history about Career DFW. We'll go over the websites and we'll look at everything, and I'll try to explain, what we're doing, why we do it. And so if you have any question, you can ask me as we get going here. Coming up next Friday, our speaker, we're going to have two speakers, and they're going to talk about the trauma of job loss. It's going to be an interview and discussion format. Carol Burkell will interview Dr. Christian, and they will also take questions from the audience. We will not be recording the session because we don't want anybody to feel like, anything that's going on, that we're talking about, that stuff will be out there in public. So we will not be recording the session for public use. Once it's on Facebook, we will go and delete it immediately. So you'll be able to watch it live, but after that, it will be gone. And the purpose of the session is to lead a discussion with a mental health therapist on the psychological impact of being unemployed. So it should be a fascinating presentation. Please come join us next Friday. Let's see here. I guess I should put it up there so you can see it. Sorry about that. I'm looking at different monitors with different things on it, so I'm sorry about that. So that's coming up next Friday. The Friday after Thanksgiving, we will not be meeting. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. We don't meet that week, so enjoy that Friday off. I know I'll be sitting here very bored, not knowing what to do, because socially distancing, it's not like I'm going to see anybody this Thanksgiving. So I'll just be sitting here reading my newspaper early in the morning. And then on Friday, December 4th, as we do at the beginning of every Friday, or the first Friday of every month, we will have open forum. And then we've got a couple speakers lined up for the month of December, and then we'll take off the week of Christmas and New Year's again. Okay, so it's time for the main event. So let me switch slides. Let's see here. Let me close a couple things out that we don't need. And I get to introduce myself. Let's see here. Okay, so the presentation here is all about Career DFW and Career USA and how it got started. Like I said, I only do this presentation once a year to this group, and so we're going to do it today. So what we'll do is I'll tell a little background about me, how I got started doing this, how I got involved in the whole career thing, because this is not my background. We will take a look at Career DFW, a little history about Career DFW and Career USA. We will take a look at the websites live. And then I'm going to spend a little time on three areas I think that everybody needs to focus on. And if you have questions, just in the participant box, raise your hand or stick your question in the comment field. And or on Facebook, if you have any questions, you're welcome just to enter them into the comment box. Like I said, I am monitoring that feed. Okay, so my background, I've spent 20 plus years in light manufacturing. I've produced videotapes, and we had to shut down that business because everybody got involved with those little round shiny silver discs called DVDs, and so we had to shut down the VHS business. After that, I got involved with printing press accessories for printing presses, then sheet fed printing presses. Then I got involved with a plumbing company for about 90 days. I actually left that job after 90 days. I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with the direction the company was going. They expanded into the DFW market. I got to hire the entire staff, filled out the warehouse, but they weren't paying their bills. And when Encore came in one day to shut the power off, I made the decision, okay, this really isn't the place for me to be. So I left them. I actually trained their replacement. I retrained my replacement, and then I left. So I just didn't leave them in a lurch. After that, I got a job working at a company that made high dollar curtains, like $1,000 for a pair of silk curtains. So everything I've done light manufacturing is widgets to widgets. It didn't really matter what I produced. I was making things and it was dealing with customers, keeping the employees happy, and making sure things got out the door. Since 2007, since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. In 2007 or 2007, the last time I was laid off, the owner of the curtain company, actually, she had sold her business, she had sold her house, and she sold another business she owned in New Orleans. And she moved to Dallas and took over the business. So I really wasn't needed to run the business anymore here. So when I got laid off the last time, I have a couple young kids, and I made the decision that I would stay home and become Mr. Mom, which I did. Got the kids off to school, but once the kids got off to school, I didn't come home and eat bonbons and watch Oprah at the time. I stayed involved in career games, and I kept going to career networking meetings and to different things that were going on. And so the guy who was leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, he got a job and said, who wanted to take over? I think I scratched my face. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So that's what I've been doing here since 2007. Well, one of the things I figured out while doing this is that there really isn't a sign out in front of the church that says, Unemployed, come here this morning. And so I realized there was a need. I went to, I thought, well, what could we call the thing? I went to Google about how do you buy a web name. That was the easy part. So I bought CareerDFW.org. I also bought CareerDFW.com in case people didn't write the .org thing. And on November 17th, 2008, we officially launched the website. So coming up next Tuesday will be our official 12th birthday. It's hard to believe it's been that long. And it really was amazing because think about what happened in December of 2008. That was the last major downfall of the economy when everything fell apart and all the banks busted and everything. So I didn't realize that, I was out there at the right time. One of the things I realized when I was starting CareerDFW is I happened to go to Jewish Family Services, and I didn't know if we cooperate. I didn't know, if they wanted to work with me and we do this jointly. I was just sort of feeling out. This was the summer of 2008. And they said, well, here, let us help you. They gave me a list, 2 sheets of paper, and on the piece of paper was the most current list of networking groups in the DFW area. Oh, that was a great start. Well, you look at the top of the list, and the date on that list was January 1st, 2006. The list was 2.5 years old. So that sort of became my first mission, was to find all the latest groups, make sure they still meet current, everything, get it all up to date. And that sort of became the first part of the website. A little technical stuff. We became a Texas nonprofit corporation 8 months after I launched the website. One of the things that was very, very important to me is that we become a 501c3. There were other career networking groups. If anybody remembers Career Connections at the time, and I mean, they still sort of exist, but they're very, very small now. They would have 300 people showing up on a Tuesday morning. They were not a 501c3, and they should have been. I don't know what happened, why they didn't get their approval for it, but I wanted to make sure we became a 501c3. It's not often that you're excited about getting a letter in the mail from the IRS, but I remember that day very distinctly, October 6th, when I went to the mailbox and here's this thick letter, and inside is my confirmation that I became a 501c3. So I did not accept any donations until after that took an effect. In 2012, I wrote a book, What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's a collection of little stories, 1, 2, 3-page stories where, here's what you should do and here's why you should do it, versus I'm sure a graduate student or a PhD student could take one tip and turn it into a whole dissertation with all the science behind it and everything. But, I just wanted to sort of make it easy and get things out to people with what was going on. In September of 2012, I was also invited to go to the White House Forum on Job Clubs and Career Ministries. This was run by the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. I do not know if this organization still exists in the White House. At the time, I think 11 of the 17 departments, like Department of Commerce, Department of Labor, they all had a representative or 2 or 3, people who were part of this organization. And the point of what they were trying to do was, they know that there's somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 networking groups just like this out there in the United States. And they were trying to reach those groups to make sure they had the information to help people who were unemployed. It was a fascinating event. There were 110 people from all over the United States. We were only limited by the size of the room at the White House Executive Office building. It was just great to be there. One of the things that I learned while I was there is that nobody else was doing anything like CareerDFW. There was nothing else like it in the country. So because of that, when I came back, I was rebuilding the websites in October. I had some help and we were redesigning and updating security-wise. So we decided to launch CareerUSA.org. I had already owned the name for a year or two. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. So we took all the generic stuff and put it on CareerUSA. Everything specific to the DFW area is on the CareerDFW website. And I'll show you both of those here in just a couple minutes. So how do we survive? We've survived by volunteers like you. You're the eyes and ears of the website. If you see something, if they say something, if you see something, say something. So if you see something and it's not on my website or something's not up to date, please let me know. I mean, I had an email this week. Somebody sent me a couple links that weren't correct. Last week, I had somebody send me an email about a link for another group that had changed. And so they've sent me the updated link and I went and updated the website with stuff. So, I don't know everything that's going on. I try to hear what's happening, but if you see something, if you see about a job fair, you see a networking group that is now meeting in person, please let me know about it so I can update it and update the calendar with those details. CareerDFW has no employees, no full-time or no part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 12 years has been as a volunteer. This is what I do to give back to the community. This is my little, my little piece. I remember being in church once and the pastor said, so what are you doing to affect the community? What are you doing to make change? And, I'm thinking to myself, so I'm looking around, well, there's about 125 people here. Well, I get 8,000 to 10,000 people coming every month to my websites. I feel pretty good about that. So, I'm glad I can help everybody. This is, what I like to do. This is just, to me, it's just a great little charity. It's nice to be able to give back. We survive on donations. That's what helps pay for the business cards. Not that we're handing out any business cards right now. I have about 8,000 of them here to pass out. So can't wait for us to get back to meeting in person and I can start handing out cards again. It pays for the web hosting, the name files. In fact, I have to buy a couple of the names here next month that are about to expire. Anything we have to do. One of the ways that you can make a donation is via PayPal. There's a link on the website and I'll show you that in a second. Or you can send a check in the mail. In fact, I got a check in the mail yesterday from somebody who landed a couple of weeks ago, and I really appreciate that. And I understand you're unemployed. There's no cost to use the website. We just ask that if you do land a job, when you do land a job, please consider making a donation to help us out so we can continue to keep doing what we're doing. All the proceeds from the book that I wrote, all the proceeds go to also support CareerDFW. So, if you buy it from me, for $10 a piece, or you go to Amazon and you buy it for $15. I will tell you this, if you get it from me for $10, CareerDFW makes more. If you buy it from Amazon for $15, Amazon gets most of the money. So just FYI. All right, at the same time we started CareerDFW and CareerUSA, we started LinkedIn groups because LinkedIn is very, very important. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Currently, if you're not part of the CareerDFW LinkedIn group, you should, because 12,600 people are currently part of that group. And if you join that group, you now have 12,000 new connections and people you can leverage their connections with you. So I'll show you where you can join that group. You can join the CareerUSA group also. You don't have to. I started both. They're both available. Please follow us on Facebook. I know right now we have 11 people currently watching us on Facebook. If you subscribe to us on Facebook, every time we go live, your phone will get a little vibration or you'll get a little alert saying that we're currently live and broadcasting something. And if you will, subscribe to our CareerUSA YouTube channel. All the presentations that we've done since COVID started are all up on the Career USA YouTube channel, as long as the speakers have allowed it to be recorded. So, please subscribe. When you do, you'll find out about all the latest things that get updated and get upgraded. I'll be uploaded. I'll be uploading this presentation this afternoon. So if somebody wants to go back and watch it, they can. So let's take a look at the websites now. You're going to see me. I'm going to be looking off to the side because that's the monitor I happen to have that on. So let me see here. I got to get the right screen. Let's close that out. Okay, so here is the CareerDFW website. There are a couple different banners across the top, so it does change a little bit. Across the top, we've got drop-down menus and some items, and I'll go over that in just a second. In the middle of the website is the career tip of the week. This week is Zoom etiquette, and I'll talk, thank Roxanne for reading it this week. This is where we get it every week and we read it. These are those little tips and stuff, and I'll talk, when we get to that page, I'll show you a little bit more about that. Here's a banner that I added, find out about what's currently online. If you click right here where that orange changes to white, it will take you to that calendar, that one calendar, which I've shown you before. I just lost my job. What do I do now? If you click right here, it will open up CareerUSA.org and take you to that one-page handout that's on that website. I thought it was important you know that you're not the only person on the website. Now, this is probably about a half hour ago. It'll update. But so currently there were 16 guests online at the time. And there'll be more as we update this page. It'll change and update every time. I just thought it was important that you know you're not the only person out there looking for a job right now. Right here in the very, very middle, CareerDFW training. This has all the different events that CareerDFW is sponsoring. So the LinkedIn, LinkedIn Tuesdays, interviewing Wednesdays, resume Thursday, the North Dallas group on Friday. So all that information is always right here. And it's only the ones that CareerDFW is sponsoring. All the other webinars and stuff that are out there, you do need to go to the other calendars to find that information. And I'll show that in just a second. If you want to join the CareerDFW LinkedIn page, you see how this turns to a hand. If you click right here, it will take you to the Join Now page of CareerDFW if you're not a member. If you are a member, it will take you to the blog page of CareerDFW. You can see what people are talking about. If you'd like to join the Career USA one, you're welcome to click here and do that. I will tell you, I do look at your profile, and if your profile is not mostly complete, I will reject you. The reason for it is, why do you want LinkedIn if your profile is not mostly complete? So I really encourage you to make sure your profile is complete, and we'll talk about that towards the end of this session. If you're interested in buying a copy of the book, you can click here. It'll take you to the Amazon link, or tell you how you can contact me to get it. Like I said, if you'd like to donate, you can click down here, and I'll show you another donate button on one of the subsequent pages here in just a second. So that's the first page. All right, so the page that everybody goes to, the most used page on this website, is the calendar page. And there's a couple ways to look at everything. There's the graphical view and there's the agenda view. We'll go to the graphical view first, and you saw this when Eldon got started. Here is everything going on in the DFW area this week for the unemployed. Now, for all you guys out there, at the very top here, these are called instructions. I know you don't read them until you have to, or until something doesn't fit when you put together, but here are the instructions. All the color coding is right up here at the very, very top. Here's what all the buttons do. They're all explained right up here. And if you know something that's not listed or needs to be updated, here's an email address. So if you know something and it's not right or something, please, please, please let me know. So the gold color is today. The red line is where we currently are. So I can click here, and here is the event that shows up on that calendar, the gold calendar that shows talking about CareerDFW and how to use it. Our networking meeting is right here in blue. So, and because we're doing a webinar, it's in purple. Okay, so that's that's why sometimes there's 3 different events for the same thing. Now, if you look at, here's the Southlake group, it's in person, but they also talk about that they're also still doing the online option, and their online options are in, here is one of them, the opening session. Here's the other little session they have going on. So, you know, they're in multiple colors. So that's what's going on this week. If you want to see what's, you know, so let's say, well, today's almost over. Let's see what's happening next week. If you come up here to this little right arrow, you click on it. Here's what's loaded on the calendar for next week. Okay. So these are events that are happening. You can go through, you can click on whatever you want. You can find out about different things that are happening, you know, what's going on. Now, Google only offers, I'll click back on today, so we're on today's list here. Stay here. You can print this calendar out. Be very, very careful if you print the calendar out, because as with all these events that are on here, you could kill a lot of trees, okay? So preview whatever you want to print. There's lots of options. Do you print it with the detail, with the address, with maps? I mean, you can, there is a lot of different options if you try to print something out, and the date range. What date range do you want to print something out? So just be very careful. For those people, this is a Google Calendar. So those people who use a Google Calendar know that you have a 1-day view, a 2-day view, and then week, month, and agenda. Well, with this online version that they give us, they only allow a calendar to be embedded with the week, month, and agenda view. So if you go to the month view, it's a waste, because there's, you know, everything just says there's more events, more events, more events going on. You know, the week view is okay, but the agenda view is very, very helpful and useful, because what it's done is, here's the first event for the day, and you can click on it and you can open it up and get all the information you need. And it's all the exact same information that's on the other calendar. You can have multiple things open, you can close them back out, and then you can scroll back down, you can see the next thing that happens to be going on. So you can see what's happening the next day. It's in the same color coding as the main calendar is. Now, the button that I really want to show you that I think is really, really handy, let me get back to today, is this last little button over here on the very right-hand side. If you click on it, you can go and you can turn stuff off. So I'm going to turn off, I'll turn that off, turn off holidays. Okay. So now I've turned off a bunch of stuff. So now we're just looking at special career workshops where I'm speaking, and job fairs that are going on. So now you just see gold events, and you see some of the pink events that are on here. And if we go back to the week view, you can see the calendar has a lot less stuff on it. Okay. You can always go back. You can add something back in if you just want to see the webinars that are going on. You can do that. If you just want to see networking groups, you can click there and see where the networking groups are, you know, whatever's going on. So this is how you can easily go and add things back in to do things. So let me go back. So let me just point out one more thing real quick here. So if you have a Google Calendar, when you open up the event, at the very bottom here, there's two different things. One says more detail. There is never more detail. I will put everything I know into the box. You just have to use the scroll bar to get all the information here, okay? Copy to my calendar. If you happen to use a Google Calendar, you can click here and this will put this event on your Google Calendar for you. So you don't have to sit there and type in that you want to go to this event or that event. It makes it very easy to go and pop things in. So if there's job fairs or special workshops that you want to go to, you can just click on copy to my calendar, and it will stick this event onto your calendar for you. So it'll be there. Okay, so that's the calendar. Let me go back to the home page of the calendar for just a second, because I want to point this out. So what we were looking at was the everything calendar. There is, if you only want to see each individual layer, you could just click on job fairs or just special workshops or just networking groups in each one of these colors, and you will only see that one color, and you do not have the option to add other things back in. So I just want to point that out and make sure everybody knows that's going on here. So please just sort of consider, just know that you only get to see what that one layer is. Let me just point out on every subsequent page, except for the front page, these little icons over here. So if you click here on LinkedIn, it'll take you to the CareerDFW LinkedIn page. If you click here, this will take you to the CareerDFW Facebook page, easiest way to get there. This will take us to our Twitter page, which currently is really not working correctly right now, so you could skip that one if you want. If you want to go to Instagram, you can follow us on Instagram if you're a grammer, and you can find us on Instagram. And if you want to get to our YouTube channel, you click right here, and this will take you to the CareerDFW, Career USA YouTube channel. So all those links work. If you'd like to donate to CareerDFW, if you click right here on the envelope, it'll come up with the address as far as where you can mail something in. And the P will take you to it'll launch PayPal, where you can make a donation via PayPal. So all that stuff is right there. A couple questions came in. Has anybody from Watermark? I think Watermark is listed on the calendar as of Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. I think they are. I don't know if they're meeting in person or not. If you know of more information, please let me know. Yes, Jeff asked, when you're adding to your Google Calendar from CareerDFW Calendar, do you sign into your account first? I think you probably should have your calendar already up. I think that's how it works. I haven't used it because because it's my calendar, I actually call the calendar up. It's already built into my personal calendar, the layers, but I don't know, Jeff, if you know, please let us know and we'll figure that out. Okay, the next tab over beside the calendar tab is the group tab. So this was really the first page of the website. This is where I went and I listed all the networking groups in the DFW area. And they're all listed here in blue. And then somebody said, well, and then we broke out all the workshop groups. So the groups that meet 4, 6, 8 weeks, and they repeat their programming every 8 to 12 weeks. I broke that out into a separate group to make it a little bit easier for you. Somebody said, Jeff, you know, this is a nice list, but can you put them on a map? Because I don't really know. Oh, okay. If you get this message, you need to try Firefox or Chrome, Bing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I don't have access to Google My Maps. Okay, I have to go figure out what's going on here. So go back to the group home. So there, if you don't get it on Chrome, try Firefox or the Google program. The list that everybody needs to check out, though, is this professional organization list. If you were to print this out, this is 18 pages long. And these are professional groups in the DFW area. This is where you're going to meet people who you know, or who do what you do. These are people that you need to be reaching out to. Find these people. Get to know them, because if they know you and they like you, they're going to offer you a job before they offer a job to somebody else. So if you have a professional group that you're part of and it's not on my list, please let me know. I know I just updated this a couple of days ago. Somebody sent me a list. They changed their name to something else, so I updated that. The fact is Metroplex Technology Business Council is now called Tech Titans. So I updated that on here. So, you know, if there's groups that are on here, there's going to be a professional group that meets whatever you do. Find them, go there, network with those people. That's how you're going to find your next job. So that's on the group tab, which you can just click to and get to here. All right, the About Us section. Now, it's weird to put an About Us section in the middle of a website in a title bar, but the reason is this is the end of the CareerDFW website. The Resource tab, Tip of the Week, Job Board, and Humor section are all on Career USA. And if you were to click on one of these, it will take you to, it'll launch a new window and take you to Career USA. So on the About page, here's a little bit just about what CareerDFW is, why I started it, and information on there. If you're interested in my trip to the White House, you can click here and you can find out about everything, you know, who was at the White House or who was there, who the speakers were, all the links, what they talked about. I have a running blog on our history. You can click here and find out about our history. This You Said We Did. This is when you send me those nice little notes. Thank you, Jeff, for doing what you've done. It's really great adding things here. you know, it just makes it, this is when it's 11, 12 o'clock at night and I should be in bed sleeping. I go here and this reminds me that why I'm doing what I'm doing. Our mission statement, our goal, we've been in the news, all those are here. If you have a website, you're welcome to add a button on here. And I've got a series of different size buttons you're welcome to capture and add. And then here are some email addresses. There should be email addresses on almost every page. So you should always be able to reach out to me. Currently, me, myself, and I, the three of us, we handle these 3 accounts. So please, if something's not right, please reach out to me and let me know. Okay, the Career USA website looks just like CareerDFW, except it's red, white, and blue versus orange. I will tell you this, when you build a website, you get to pick whatever colors you like. I happen to like the color orange. I had an orange Sunkist, Diet Sunkist last night for dinner. That's my favorite drink when I go out, having an orange Fanta or something. So, you know, you get to pick your own colors, but I didn't think I had a lot of choice with Career USA. I had to stay with red, white, and blue. It's laid out the exact same way. Tip of the week in the middle. Currently, there's 65 guests. Oh, when you see that there's 1 member online, this means that there's somebody posting a job on the job board right now. And I'll point that out to you in just a second. Same kind of stuff, training here in the middle. You can join LinkedIn groups, buy a copy of the book, make a donation. Everything is listed on here. So when you go to the group tab, on the group tab on CareerDFW, it took you to the calendar. Here, this takes you to groups around the Dallas-Fort Worth area that I have found. So if you were to click on Dallas-Fort Worth, it'll take you to CareerDFW. I have a 1-page handout on some groups in the Houston area. There's a few. Kansas City, I get a quarterly update from those people, and I update the website with their information. Group Minneapolis, St. Paul, there's a ton of groups meeting up in that area. Up the New Jersey area, the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I list San Antonio on here sort of as a joke because as far as I can tell, there is only 1 networking group in the San Antonio area that meets on a monthly basis, and that's it. So there's not a lot there. So you're very lucky here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to have so many groups that want to help and provide you information. So if you don't see your city or area listed, and if you know of something, please let me know, and I'll be glad to add another listing for another city on here to help other people out. Okay, the resource tab. I'm sorry about the leaf blowing and stuff going on outside across the street from me. Of course, every time I do a seminar, somebody has to come cut the grass and blow leaves outside. It seems to happens every Friday morning. So the resource tab, this is really the bulk of the website. So back when I started this 12 years ago, there weren't as many resources out there. It was a lot harder to find some of this information. Nowadays, you can Google anything and find it. But if you need help, this is like a big giant file cabinet. You know, what do? I just got laid off. Cover letters, business cards, interview questions, and I have interview questions with the answers so that you know how to answer a question when they answer something in a particular way. Everything you need to know about networking, how to deal with recruiters, all this great information is on there. I have a series of websites that I recommend. I don't get paid to promote any of these. These are just some other little websites that are out there. Salary sites, where to network at. You think you want to start your own business, you can click there, you can find that. And then if you're a veteran, I've got websites that are specifically for veterans and their families to get help and some resources for veterans on there. All right. The career tip of the week. All right, so the start of the career tip of the week came from, I was getting all these great articles and I went, oh, this is really interesting, or here's a blog, I need to post about this. So one week at the Friday meeting, some guy came to me and said, oh, before the meeting starts, oh, I had a great interview on Wednesday. They asked for my references. So his question was, do you think I should let my references know that they may be contacted? And I went, yes, that would be a very good idea. And I came home and wrote a blog about it that weekend. So that was the following week's career tip of the week. So all these tips of the week, they're short, 3 to 5 minute reads. They're a little bit like those V8 moments. You read it and you go, wow, that was simple. I should have been doing this months ago in my job search. So hopefully you pick something up and you carry it with you as you go. My favorite career tip, so every Saturday a new one gets posted. Saturday around 1 o'clock, a new one gets loaded up there. Be sure to check our tip of the week out the week of Thanksgiving. It's really it's a good tip. And my favorite tips are over here on the very right-hand side. I'll talk about this one a lot when you get to be together, these name tags, talking about name tags and how to use them, and there's a template there. But for everybody else, these are my favorite career tips if you only want to get started on reading some of them. And like I said, I go all the way back to 2009. So there's 45 tips every year that get posted. So they're all there. You can check them back out. They're all very interesting. I don't write most of them. Most of them I just pick off the internet from other people. Okay, the job board. Come on, here we go. All right, the job board. One of my rules on the job board has always been jobs only stay posted for 21 days and they go away. So you're not going to find jobs 6 months ago or a year ago that have been left on there. The computer automatically wipes those away for me. This is also the only place you're going to see a login screen. You do not have to log in to look at to see anything on the website. The websites are totally free to use. I don't want your personal information. The only reason you have to log in is to post a job. And you're welcome to post a job. If you see jobs posted, you have the information, you're welcome to go and add that job to the job board. So just know that this is the only place to log in, but you don't have to log in anytime. I don't want to collect your information. So obviously somebody has found us outside the DFW area, as here's a job in West Palm Beach, which may be a nice place to go. Here's some Irving Jobs. So this is the most current job that's been posted. As we scroll down, there's currently 653 jobs posted on the website. There's 30 per page. The easiest way to use this job board, like I said, some things don't work. The search box doesn't work. This little icon thing doesn't work. You don't want to use that. The best way to use it is to hit the down arrow and then find your category. So here's one accounting finance job. Here's 4 banking jobs. Here are 11 part-time jobs. Here are 7 management executive jobs. Click there and you'll just see those few jobs. That's, I would say, the way to use this job board at this point. I was forced to go to this job board due to a security update, and I don't like it. It's actually written by some Russians, and I refuse to pay and allow them to get in to the back door to fix it because I'm afraid what they may leave in the back door, and I don't want my websites hacked. They've been hacked twice. Once it took me 2 weeks over Christmas to unwind it and get it back to normal. So I'm very protective of the website. So that's the job board. The humor section. Looking for a job is hard work. If you ever work for me on a Friday morning, I will always send out the Friday funny. But when we rebuilt the website, I asked them can you give me a pair of eyeballs? I also wanted a fuzzy nose and fuzzy eyebrows above, like Groucho Marx, to go, why are you on this page right now? You should be out looking for a job. So you only see these eyeballs Monday through Friday between 8 and 5, okay? But you can still scroll down and you can see the jokes, the cartoons, the videos, thought for the days are on here. So let me go find my favorite cartoon here that I like to show people. Let's see here. I just think this is just a very funny interview question. If you're ever going to be going to IKEA for a job interview, just be prepared. So all sorts of funny cartoons. Don't go here during the day. This is for nighttime and weekends only. But I don't know. Check it out. There's all sorts of funny things on here. The About section is just like what's on CareerDFW, so it's the exact same kind of stuff. So just know that a lot of the stuff links back to CareerDFW. So are there any more questions? Let's see here. Let's see here. So Leslie wants to know, when did I grow a beard? Well, COVID made me start a beard. I haven't worn a tie in a long time. Let's see here. I guess that's, Oh, thanks for having all these Zoom calls listed. I never would have met any of you. Well, thank you, Patty. I'm glad you've been joining us. Okay, so that's the website. Let me go back, and I just want to remind everybody that the websites collect no personal information. Like I said, I don't, to me, it's not important. I just want to give you the information. When I first started the websites, I wanted to be very Google-like, plain, simple. Here's the information, run with it, learn something, off you go. And there's no cost to use either of the websites, but hopefully when you do land a job, you'll make a donation to help us continue to do what we're doing. Okay, so I want to spend the rest of the time talking about 3 areas that I think you need to focus your job search on. I used to go to career tips and other things, but because of COVID and everything, I think there's 3 main areas that everybody needs to focus on during their job search. So number 1, I think you need to focus on, the first thing you've got to prepare when you're out of work is your resume. And we'll talk about that. The second area is, I think you then need to have your LinkedIn profile up to date, current, and ready to go. And then the third thing is interviewing. You've got to practice your interviewing. As Mark said earlier, you spend all these hours and hours on your resume, but how much time do you actually practice interviewing? And that's really what's going to make or break if you get your next job. A resume is not going to get you the job. A resume gets you a phone call. How you interview is what gets you the job. So because of that, that's why when COVID hit, that's why I decided to start some LinkedIn training, some interviewing training, and some resume training every week. So every Tuesday at 1, we do LinkedIn. We've got 4 different speakers every Wednesday. We do interviewing. Mark and Walt put together a 13-part session on interviewing. So it's really extensive. I mean, figure it's 13, it's almost 15 hours worth of material if you were to watch all the videos. And right now in November and December, we're doing special guest interviews, special guest speakers, and then Mark and Walt will start back up in January with the resume, with their interviewing sessions. And then every Thursday we talk about resumes. I thought it was just, those were the 3 big areas that we talk about. I no longer do this on, we used to have those topics on Friday morning. So I don't do those topics on Friday morning anymore. We'll talk about other things for the most part when I bring the speakers in on Friday mornings. So number 1, let's talk about resumes. So one of the things I think I see a lot when people start their resumes is that they sort of get into a paralysis because they spend hours and hours. There was a lady who came to the group a couple years ago, and we asked her how her job search was going, and 4 months later, well, I'm still working on my resume, and until I get my resume really done, I don't want to do the next step. But she was in paralysis. I mean, she was spending too much time being focused on trying to knock this one thing out. So, you've got to be really, really careful about that. So my first question to everybody is, do you have a master resume? This is what I encourage everybody to do. A master resume is a resume that has everything you've ever done since you graduated high school. Include jobs in high school if they're relevant. Every one of those jobs would have 8 to 10 bullet points, addresses, who your supervisor was, who you reported to, what the company did, all the details on there, the day you started, the day you left, put all those dates on there. Then once you have your master resume, when you see a job description, you can take that master resume and get rid of everything that's unimportant. Because when you apply for a job, you only want to tell them what's pertinent. You may have done a lot of great things, but the recruiter doesn't care less about any of those other things. They only want to see that you can do what we're asking you to do right now. So you can take your 10-page resume and get it down to 1 page, 2 pages, or 3 pages if need be. Remember, your resume is just a hook. It's only there to get you a job, or it's only there to get you a phone call. So, just realize that. You want to make sure you customize every resume you send out, okay? Don't post a generic resume. It's a waste of time, because if somebody's looking for a customer relationship specialist and you put on your resume you're a customer service rep, they may not make the association because it's not going to stand out and click to them. Only send a resume out that you've customized and that you know what you're sending it out for, that it's for a specific job. be sure to keep the details of the job description. Very important. I can't bring this up often enough. It's just very, very important. You've done a lot of wonderful things. I mean, I look around the group on Friday mornings when we were meeting in person going, man, think about the business that I could start right here with the talent sitting in this room. I've got marketing people, I've got admins, I've got salespeople, I've got technical people. Everything I need is right here in this room, but you only want to tell the person who's looking at your resume the details that they want, so they'll call you up. All right. You want to make sure that every one of your bullet points uses a dollar, a percent, or a number. You need to quantify. You need to show results on your resume. All right. I see way too many resumes that look like job descriptions. I did this, and then I had to do this, and then I formed this committee to do that. No results. That doesn't sell. You're going to sell using results. So every bullet point has to have a result. So I was talking to one lady, she was an admin, answered the phone, the front desk at the phone. She says, yeah, but I don't have any results. I don't, do anything. I said, well, how many phone calls do you take every week? Oh, 400, 450. And how many people do you distribute those phone calls to? Well, there's 34 people here. All right, so now you have a statistic. You answer 450 phone calls a week and you distribute it to 34 people. That's something that tells, those are results. That tells somebody what it is you do. Do not blindly send them out. I've already sort of talked about that. Don't blindly send out a resume because you don't know really what they're looking for. Do not post your resume on LinkedIn. My opinion is you put all the details from your master resume on LinkedIn so that if somebody's searching for a certain topic, a certain keyword, it will show up in something you've done because you never know what they're looking for. But you don't want to post a resume because if you post a resume, then you have, if they open it up, well, that's not really what I was looking for. That doesn't have some of the things that I really need, but you say you did it here, there will be a big disconnect. Consider, if you're going to post something on LinkedIn, consider a one-page bio, which I think is an extremely effective tool. I think more and more people are doing it. I really encourage people to do that. Here's a great book that I highly recommend. I tell Mina, I talk about this all the time. She's spoken to our group before. In fact, you can see her presentation back on the Career USA YouTube channel in the North Dallas folder about how to do a one-page bio. This book called Be Sharp, I think is excellent. It's one of 3 books that everybody should have in their library of things, of employment books. Make sure you get the second edition because the second edition, they expanded all the bios. They added like 30 different bios. The first edition, they just sort of skimmed over the bio. They go into a lot of detail here. So the second edition, it's definitely worth doing. And then, so this is what her one-page bio looks like over on the right-hand side. Okay, resumes for the ATS system, ATS applicant tracking system. Don't use any special characters or any special formatting. So if you've got a pretty resume that you've done to hand to somebody, that's fine, but that's not what you want to submit. You want to submit a resume that's stripped of all those special characters, all the special formatting, because you don't want the ATS system to sort of pull something in the wrong place. Like if you had your name, John Smith, comma, MBA, some ATS systems will say your name is John Smith and your last name is MBA. So you've got to be real careful with that. Do not use the header or footer section from Microsoft Word. ATS systems will not see that. Make sure that the keywords align to the job description. So what you see in the job description has got to be in your resume. Be sure to focus on results and accomplishments. I talk about that in bullet points. Every bullet point needs to focus on a result. Use action words if you can to start each bullet. You can just go to Google, type in action verbs, and pick one of those to be the first word in every thing every bullet point that you do. Keep it simple. The job of the resume is to whet the appetite, not to provide the recipe. You're just trying to get them to give you a phone call. If you can get your resume, all right, so if you turn your resume in on an ATS system, you have less than a 2% chance that you're going to get a phone call. Now, it does happen. It does happen occasionally, but it is not going to be, it's not going to happen very, very often, okay? But if you can find somebody on LinkedIn or know somebody inside the company who can take your resume and drop it off at HR or drop it off to the hiring manager, you have a 50% chance of getting a phone call. Now, you may not get the job, but at least you have a much better chance of doing something. So if you apply for something through an ATS system, the first thing after you do that, the next thing you should do is you should go through and find somebody on LinkedIn, and can you communicate and get your stuff into the, how can you get into the company not using the ATS system? All right, so here are a couple common resume mistakes that I see all the time. A spelling or grammatical error will kick you out immediately. I mean, a lot of people, they say, well, if you make this mistake, you're gonna make a little mistake someplace else. So make sure you see that all the time. And when we talk about, making sure, we're talking about past tense, present tense. If you're currently working, make sure that all the verbs are current. But if it's past tense, you used to do the job, make sure all the verbs are past tense. You want to make sure you have a good professional email address. Don't use an unprofessional email address like crazycatlady@gmail.com. That's not going to get you I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to hire you because of that. Make sure you have a decent one. I recommend you should have 2 email addresses. You have one for all your personal emails, your family, your friends that you communicate with, and then you should have a professional job-seeking email account that has your name, John Smith, PMP, John Smith, MBA, John Smith, TX, if you need to try to make it different than all the other John Smiths out there. If you use a number after your name, like John Smith 69424, only go 2 digits. Don't try to go 5 digits like a zip code or something. Try to just use 2 digits just to make it easy for people. The shortest, the simplest way you can do it is always best. On a resume, if your resume looks like a job description, like I said before, I'm not going to look at you. I'm going to keep on going to somebody who shows results. Be sure to quantify your results. If you have too many buzzwords and overused phrases, everybody's a high achiever, everybody's detail-oriented. You want to make sure you skip all those words that everybody is and just show the words that you really, really should use. If your format design is too elaborate, I think you need to be really careful. I think a little color is okay. If you're getting a resume you're sending to somebody, a little color is fine if you want to use that. Keep the fonts simple. Keep the formatting simple. Now, if you're a design person, my daughter is a UX designer, so she's a user interface designer. Her resume, very colorful, very graphically designed, but yet she has found that when she uses the plainer generic resume that we really encourage you to use, she's gotten a lot more responses. So it's sort of funny. She didn't think that was the case. And design, if it's a design person, great, but a lot of HR people who are trying to find designers would rather see the plainer resume. So just sort of know that. All right, some other common mistakes, too much text. Your summary statements can't be more than 3 lines. Your bullet points cannot be more than 2 lines. Your bullet points, your first most current job, 5 to 8 bullet points. The later job you have in your resume on the second page, just 2 or 3 bullet points, just a couple. And too much text is, people are not going to read text. As Tony Bashira said yesterday in the resume, on the effective resume class, they scan resumes. Nobody reads a resume, okay? They scan it quickly. Make sure your past and present tense are there. I've talked about that. You do not need to list references available upon request. If I need your references, I'll ask you for them, okay? That's a waste of space. You're better off not having it on there and using the white space someplace else. You've got to customize your resume to match the job description, and be sure to include your LinkedIn address on your resume. because I think that's very helpful for people to, they're going to want to see, they're going to look you up on LinkedIn anyway, so you might as well let them know who you are, make it easier for them to get there. All right, so here's a basic resume that you really need to look at. Let me turn on my annotation here. Let's see here, annotate. So just a couple of things you really need to think about. That as you're looking for, as you're looking for a job title, you want to make sure that you change your job title to match. You want to make sure that as you look at job skills, that you go, okay, well, I've got that on my thing. That I've got Scrum. They talk about Scrum. Where was Scrum on here? Oh, yeah, right here. That I'm talking about those things. That process flow charts. I saw that here. Where did process flow charts go? Flow charts. Oh, yeah, right here. Process flow charts. So make sure that you are, looking, you're getting those keywords from your resume to the job description. Very, very important. And, do you need to include Microsoft Office on your job description, on your resume? No, unless they list Microsoft Office. So if they list Microsoft Office, you need to list Microsoft Office. But everybody figures you know how to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, okay? But if they want a special skill like Visual Studio, make sure you've got that on there so that they will find that, okay? So that's why you need to sort of spend a little bit of time, highlight some key things. It'll make things much better as you're doing those kinds of things. All right, let's see here. All right, so now let's talk about LinkedIn for a little bit. So you've got your resume all done. You've got your master resume. You're ready now to start applying. The next thing you need to do is you need to get your LinkedIn profile up and going. So you really want to have it current and fully developed. I mean, you want to have it out there because people are going to, I would probably say 70% of recruiters are going to LinkedIn now and using that as a primary tool to find somebody. All right. So if you don't have those keywords on there, if you don't have those things, if your profile is not out complete, people are just going to go to the next person. So does your profile tell a company how you can help them? You have an About Us section where you can put 2 or 3 points of what it is you do that sets you apart from everybody else. You want to make sure you're an all-star. LinkedIn will walk you through step by step to make sure that you're 100% as an all-star. That means that you have, let's see here, I thought I may have a slide that talks about what you need to have. Another thing, can somebody reach out to you easily? If you heard Kurt Vondermatter talk at our LinkedIn thing a couple of weeks ago, he's a professional recruiter and he talks about that when he finds somebody, he wants to pick up the phone and call them. But if there's no phone number there, his next thing is, well, I'll have to send them an email. So he looks for their email address. If you don't have an email address listed, he could send an in-mail, but one of the things he does to filter people out of his job search is he puts people, one of the options that a recruiter has, if you're using a recruiting package of LinkedIn, he can check a box that says, are these people active? Do these people respond on LinkedIn? So that when you get something, if you're not responding back, it keeps track of that. And if you're not a responder, he just doesn't even, you're done. You could be the perfect LinkedIn profile, but he'll go to somebody else who can't. And his last option is to send an in-mail, which he hates to do because he knows sometimes people never read their in-mails. So make sure your phone and contact information, in addition to being in the contact field, is also in the About section. Make it simple. Here's my profile. I've actually stuck mine up on my picture. You can customize your own picture. If you're not using, there's a program called Canva, C-A-N-V-A. We had a presentation a few weeks ago in the North Dallas Focus Group. You can see it on YouTube about how to use Canva. You can use it and you can build your own thing. So anybody who looks at my profile, my public profile, they do not have to be a LinkedIn member, they don't have to be a recruiter. They immediately, there's my phone number and my email address. If you don't want your phone number on there, get a Google Voice number, okay? Make it easy for somebody to reach out to you and get hold of you. Be sure to add your customized URL link, okay? So you want to make sure that you're not, Jeff-Morris-6596QLJ942. You want to make sure you edit your LinkedIn public profile with your doing. You can do it by going edit public profile and click on URL in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to add a professional email, and you should list the largest closest city. So here we could list the DFW area, and that's a default. But if you live in Prosper or you live in McKinney, if you're only looking for a job in Dallas or McKinney, you could just list McKinney. But you probably want to expand it and put in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You can always turn down a job if somebody's calling you from Fort Worth that you're not interested in. Just let them know I'm not interested in going there. But put in a large city. Best thing to do in the state. Make sure you have a focus statement, a title at the top of your job. So underneath your name, you want to make sure that you list something like you're a Java front-end engineer or a marketing brand manager. You now have 220 characters that you can use underneath your name. If you don't do anything, it'll list your most current last name that you had on there. But we ask that the best way to do it is to put your full title on there. And you can have a couple job titles, and make sure it's the kind of job title that somebody would have on a job description. Okay, you don't want to be a engineering management, because no job description job title is engineering management. It's engineering manager, okay, or production supervisor, or whatever it is. Make sure that those are the job titles, and you can put 3 or 4 job titles on there. Always send a personal note with a LinkedIn invitation. I know that's my rule. I think Mark and Walt have adopted that, and a lot of the speakers that I talk with all have adopted the same thing. If you do not send a personal note, I'm not going to connect with you. I think I currently have around 80 people in my inbox that I have not done anything with. I need to go clear them out and just delete them all. I haven't connected because there's no personal note with it. Because if you don't tell me why we met or where we met, I'm not going to connect. All you have to do is just tell me you saw me here on this morning's presentation, or I don't like the color shirt you wore, or you need to change the background to green because I don't like the blue that you, whatever. Just send me a personal note and I'll connect with you. Just send me something. You can even send an invitation on a cell phone. So here's a screenshot off of an iPhone, and I think they've now changed it. This more down here is now, I think, a little hamburger. They keep changing. LinkedIn just did a bunch of changes in the last few weeks, so things have updated some. But if you click down here, you have an option to personalize an invite. So even on your cell phone, you can always send a personal note. Okay, get your profile to all-star status. Here we go. Here's what you need to have. You got to have a current position, a location, an industry, a summary, at least 5 skills, an education, and a photo. Okay, so you need to sort of load all these different things on there. You don't have a current position because you're currently unemployed. So here's what I recommend you do. Your current position is whatever job title you're looking for, production manager, whatever, general manager, whatever. The current company name is your phone number. And then underneath it, you list 3 or 4 things, your top 3 or 4 bullet points of things you do. And that's your current job right now. And when you're employed, you just delete that off. And so that way you have a current job saying you're currently open to work, that you're currently looking for something, and you're telling people what it is you do. You got to make sure you have a good headshot. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're you don't have a busy background. You want a plain background, nice looking headshot with or without a tie. I mean, nowadays without a tie is acceptable. Just a nice looking headshot so that people know who you are, and please make sure that it's something in the last 5 years. I mean, there's some pictures that are out there. I don't know, is Eldon still with us? His picture is probably 15 years old, and Eldon doesn't look like he used to look 15 years ago. So, please, if you can, do something that's sort of current, something that looks decent. Nothing busy. You don't want hands on your shoulder. You don't want multiple people. You just want a picture of you, from, just showing your shoulders up. You want your headline. You got to make sure your headline is in there. That's the job title you're applying for. You now have 220 characters, so you can put a lot more information on there. Make sure the open to job opportunities on there. Very, very important. So there's two options when you go and do that. Number one is you can just let recruiters know that you're open to opportunities. The second option is you want the little green thing that says open to work around your name on there. Big discussion when that first started, but here's my point. Here's my reasoning that I think you should be doing that. The reason you should have that on is because everybody is not a recruiter who looks at your profile. What if you happen to be reaching out to somebody and it's a friend, it's a neighbor who happened to check you out, happen to see what's going on, and they see that and they go, oh, I didn't know you were looking for work right now. So put it on there to let people know that you're looking for work. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not the only person out there looking for work. There's lots of people out there. You're not desperate by showing that. Put it on there. Because there's an opportunity, one of your connections will see you and go, oh, I didn't know you were out looking right now. It's worth doing. The about section, we've talked about this. Make sure you use keywords. You want to make sure keywords are in your profile 3 to 5 times. So if you get it in your about section once or twice, and you get it in your profile and in your jobs you've done, in your bullet points 2 or 3 times, that's what's going to make you pop up. That's what they're going to see. Your experience section, use your job, use a job title. Don't use a goofy job title. Like the first job I ever had out of college, I was an audiovisual biomedical tech 1. I didn't tell anybody what I did. I was a videographer editor. So I shot television programs for the medical school, but my job title was an audiovisual technology, whatever 1. It's just like that. So use a generic, use whatever your most generic, easy to find job title is. Add education, add awards, any certifications you've got, any professional development, you can add all those things. There's all those fields that are on there. Please, let things out there, put that information out there. Be sure you have some skills. So you've got to pick skills. You can pick up to 50. You probably want to have at least 40, 45 skills out there. Maybe leave a few open in case you think of something later on that you need to add in the job description. And then you can pick your top 3 skills and make sure that those are pinned to the very, very top. You need to have skills out there. You need to have a couple recommendations if you can. If you can, a couple recommendations from 2020 would be great. You can always ask a former boss, if they're permitted to do it, especially if they don't work at the company anymore, they probably can do it. But the easiest thing to do is you need to write the recommendation. You need to send, and I've done this, I sent a former boss of mine, I said, because I save all my reviews, and I said, Tom, in this review you wrote me on this date, you said the following things. Would you put this in a LinkedIn profile? I said, here's a paragraph. Feel free to modify it however you'd like. He just took it word for word, copied it, and pasted it right in because I made it simple for him to do that. So, if you've got reviews, go ahead and write it for them and make it easy. You've helped them out and a better chance of getting one done. All right, privacy and some settings you need to think about. Number 1, you want to make sure you turn off viewers of this profile also viewed. I'm sure you've seen other people out there. You've gone on LinkedIn and you've looked at a couple people, and off to the right-hand side, here's a list of other people who are just like the people that you're looking for. Well, why do you want to publicize other people who are just like you? Make sure you turn that off. Make sure you turn on that you know that you're open to new opportunities, okay? Make sure recruiters know that you're looking for jobs regardless. If you're applying to a company, be sure to follow that company on LinkedIn, okay? because one of the options that a recruiter has when you're looking at the recruiter package and they call up a search, you know, if they're looking for somebody, a UX designer, and, you know, let's say the company is IBM, one of the search tools is they can see, well, here's 4,000 people who are UX designers in the California area, but of those 4,000, 400 of them follow us on LinkedIn. Well, you know, I'm going to check those 400 people out first because they're already following what we're doing. So always follow any company that you're applying to. Always reply to any LinkedIn email or connection request. All you have to do is say thank you or not interested or whatever, because when you do that, you've told the algorithm that LinkedIn uses that you respond. And when you respond, that moves you into that category that recruiters can pick that very first option that I only want to talk to people who respond in LinkedIn. All right, I'm going to skip these two things. All right, so the third section I want to talk about is interviewing. The last few minutes that we have, we'll talk a little bit about interviewing. You know, being prepared for an interview. Everybody spends a lot of time on the resume. You don't spend enough time on your practicing being interviewed. You want to make sure that every bullet point that you have on your resume should have a story. And I recommend you write them down. I mean, you should have, you know, little cue cards, and, you know, if you want index cards, handwrite them, because when you handwrite something, your brain remembers it better than sitting there typing it out formally. So every bullet point should have a story. So you take your master resume, get a box and get a package of index cards and sit there and write down a story about every one of those bullet points. Once you've done that, life's going to be easy, because then when you go through and actually do, you know, submit a resume, or they call you up and you know what resume they sent you, you can just have those stories ready to go. I think you should use a method called RAW. There's the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. The problem is when you tell your story, you tend to forget what the result was. They'll tell us the situation, they'll tell us what they did, and here are the actions. And so many times in an interview, I have to go say, so what was the result? So tell the result first. You know, I saved $6 million and here's how I did it. I did this and this is why we had to do it. So tell the result, what it is you did, what actions you took, and why it had to be done. Make sure your answers are only between 60 and 90 seconds, no longer than 90 seconds. Because if you have a half-hour interview and you're telling 3 and 4 minute stories, that means you only can answer 4 or 5 questions. You're never going to get to a lot of questions, and you want people to be able, to have more of a conversation and to get more questions answered and be able to ask questions. Be ready to answer this question: why do you want to work here? There's a lady who will be speaking to our group in January, February next year, and she's a recruiter. And one question that she asks everybody, she's the first line. So if she finds you, she's going to ask you this question during her phone interview: so why do you want to work here? If you don't have a good answer, she says, I don't move you along. You will not get moved along in that case. How much did you make your last job? You've got to be prepared for that salary question. Excuse me, you got to be prepared for that salary question. Very, very important. You have to know how to handle it. And there's Mark and Walt have a presentation. One of the interviewing sessions will talk about how to answer that question. So please, you can join that. There's a fun way to answer it, and then there's a really serious way to answer it. And then I always like to use the 2 terms: fair and equitable. Whatever you pay, I'm sure you have a scale, and whatever your scale is, I'm sure you're going to pay a fair and equitable wage. So whatever you tell them up front is going to make it easy at the end. Be ready, prepared. Why did you leave your last job? What happened? If you're not sure how to do that, reach out to Mark McDonald. He can work with you on that answer. If you got laid off with my daughter got laid off with 25,000 other people from IBM, that's an easy answer. But if it was just you, a little bit tougher. But keep it very short, keep it very simple. You want to just be a very concise answer there. Most all interviews will start with the thing, well, tell me about yourself. Okay, or walk me through your resume. Well, I don't walk you through your resume. Well, you want to start out with your opening statement here. So your response should be about 2 minutes. It requires practice. You probably should already have this worked out. Beginning is you want to start with your professional training or military service or languages spoke. I have a Bachelor of Arts and a Associate of Science degree from Western Kentucky University. So you start out with your professional stuff. Then you want to segue into 2 or 3 relevant areas of expertise. And these are areas that you think are on the job description, things you've done that are relevant to the what the job description is looking for. And the rest of the time you can discuss where you like to go and how your skills, ability, and knowledge can help a company. Remember, they have a problem. You're here to solve their problem for them. So it's not about you. This is about them. How you can help them and what you think they need help with. And then you want to lead with then go with a question. And you want to have questions prepared, ready to go. I like this. This is Ron's, who was a member of the practice interview team until he got a job, the 10+1 rule. Always have 10 questions ready to ask. Have half of them asked during the interview if you can. And that last question, the +1, is don't forget to ask for the job. So just very, very important. Have those questions prepared, written out, ready to go. As an interviewer, I like to see them written. I like to see them on your notepad. So, and if you check off that question as it gets answered, I think that just shows that you came prepared. You've got to be prepared for a video interview, especially nowadays, Skype, Google Hangout, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever it is. Think about the camera angle, which way you're facing. You don't want it to be like this. You don't want it to be way high or way low. Try to get the camera at eye level. If you need to, you get the little smiley face, and I have a little hole on there so it covers my lens so you can see me, but it reminds me where to look at and where to talk to the camera. If I remember, I'll attach that to the email I sent out this afternoon. Make sure your cell phone's off. I made sure my cell phone's on silent before we got started. There's nobody else in the house right now, so I know I'm, fine. I can't control the lawn people coming, but, I can control everybody in my house. And if you're on a Wi-Fi connection, probably want to make sure you kick the kids, anybody else off of watching a movie or somebody else who's going to drain down your Wi-Fi connection. Personally, this computer happens to be hardwired. I have a Cat5 wire running directly to the router, so that Wi-Fi is not going to affect this particular computer. When you're interviewing, you always want to find out what's the next step going to be at the end of the interview. Suggest a follow-up phone call at the end. Express, greater interest. Hey, I'm, at the beginning, I talked about these are my top skills. I'm really excited about being here. I really think that I can help solve your problem. You told me that these are the 3 things you need done. I can do those for you. And then be sure to ask to be advanced for the next job. Ask for the job if you think it's doable. There was a gentleman once in the practice interview team, and what he said, he told the guy when he walked out, he said, when he was finishing the interview, he said, well, I saw there was an empty desk out there. Would that be my desk when I start next Monday? You just never know what it is you want to do. It can't hurt. I mean, all they can do is say no. So here are some common interview mistakes that we see people making. You speak too much or too little. Okay, speaking too much, you're spending 3 and 4 minutes on a story. You got to be very careful about that because you want to get a lot of stuff in. Too little, you just can't answer yes or no. You need to be able to tell a short story. By spending too much time on the star story, wandering off into the weeds, filling up the silence with too much information. Tell your story, and then say, did I answer your question? Or would you like to know more? Be careful about talking in generalities. You want to be very specific. You want to make sure you mention things and put it in context for the interview. You want to make sure the interview understands. If it's a really technical interview, do that with technical people, but there's a good chance that the initial interviewer in HR isn't going to understand any of those technical things that you want to talk about. Be careful about mishandling a negative oriented question. You want to make sure that you never want to leave them with a negative response. You always want them to remember good things. Don't talk bad about your prior company. Don't talk bad about a prior manager. Be sure that when you talk about the actions, it's the actions that you took. What did you do? Okay, or my team. Don't use we, because we're not hiring we, we're hiring you. So what did you do, and how can you help solve my problems? Don't talk negative. I always say this, don't talk negative about any previous job, coworker, or boss. And you don't want to focus too much time on a single interviewer. If you're in a panel interview and you're actually in person, it's hard to do on the internet, but if you're in person, make sure that you talk to each person during each answer you give. And what I tell people, the easiest thing to do is every time you put a period in your head at the end of a sentence, then you go to the next person, just so you're moving and you're seeing everybody. You don't want to be bouncing back and forth back real quick. Here's a sentence, and here's the next sentence, and here's the next sentence. If you have not practiced, Mark talked about this, practice, practice, practice. You've got to practice. It is going to make a huge difference in an interview. So, please check that out. A couple, I think I'm going to stop here. I don't think I'm going to share the bonus stuff right now because I want to be able to finish out. So I'm just looking to see here if any questions. So the biggie was about where do you find the all-star status? It's on your dashboard. You'll be able to find it there, so you can check that kind of stuff out with what's going on. So just a reminder, if you're not receiving emails from the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Yahoo group, the Yahoo groups are going away. I'm going to be switching to something new here in the next couple days. So I will be working on something this weekend. So please, please, please make sure that we have in the chat box that you put your name, phone number, email address, especially for those. I was not able to capture the participants there, so I've got to make sure your name is in the chat box so I can do things. Next Friday, our speakers are going to talk about the psychological impact of being unemployed. It should be a fascinating presentation. It will not be recorded. You will not be able to see it after the fact, so you do need to join us live. Once again, if you've not put your personal information or your stuff in the chat box, please do so. If you haven't done it on Facebook, I will delete that personal information as soon as this presentation is over. I'll go copy information and delete it, so it won't be hanging out there for everybody. So hopefully everybody will get your information on there. Next Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentations with Locke Alderson. How to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies that get results. Next Wednesday, on Interviewing Wednesday, our special guest speaker is Jack Bick. He'll be talking about clarity when you need it most. And then our effective resume session will be on Thursday at 1 o'clock. So these sessions have been recorded. This will be recorded. Will be up on the CareerDFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel. Please check and subscribe to both. On YouTube, if you click on playlist, look for the North Dallas Plano group, and where you see that red arrow, click at the very bottom where you see view full playlist. That way you'll be able to see all the different topics and pick the topic that you want to go. And just remember that most of the speakers start about 30 minutes into the presentation. So thank you very much for joining us today. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll get my emails and stuff out to you a little bit later this afternoon with all that information. We will be changing to something other than Yahoo Groups. So either we'll be going to groups.io or Google Groups. I'm still working on both of them to figure out which one I like the best. So thank you very much for your time. If you haven't got your personal information in, please, please, please put that in so I can make sure I get that information and get you on our roster so we can get invitations sent out. So have a great weekend. We'll see everybody next week.